Has the final judgment already begun? Daniel 8:14 and the prophecy that will shake your faith. If you have ever heard of the book of Daniel, you probably know it for its fascinating stories like Daniel in the lioness den, or the writing on the wall that no one could interpret except for Daniel. But there's another part of the book of Daniel that most people don't talk about. And he said, "Behold, I am going to make you understand what that vision refers to. Behold, the ram that you saw on the one side means the kings of Media and Persia. This is why the angel told Daniel to write down everything he saw and seal the book until the time of the end." Let's take a closer look at Daniel 8:19. And it says, "Then I said, how long will this vision still continue? And he said, until the appointed time of the end." After that, it describes a Greek empire represented by a bear. And finally, it mentions the Roman Empire symbolized by a leopard with 4 wings. If the ram ended in 330 BC, why do you think Daniel was given this vision in the year 164 BC? I think it's safe to say that by that time, Daniel knew that the Medo-Persian Empire no longer existed. And also check out the link below for more amazing videos about Bible prophecies. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more. So what was the purpose of showing him something that he already knew? The answer's simple. It was to show Daniel that the prophetic clock had started ticking. And whenever God reveals something to us, we must believe that he is revealing something else as well. In other words, if Daniel was shown a vision about the past, he should also be given a vision about the future. That's exactly what happened. Daniel continued to prophesy about the Seleucids and the Ptolemies who fought over the region of Judea around that time. And he even predicted the rise of Antiochus Epiphanes, who persecuted the Jews during the Maccabean revolt. And as you can see, the empires are listed in chronological order, which means that the last one mentioned, the leopard, represents Rome. So let's fast forward to Daniel chapter 8 verse 14, and we read, "Then I said, my Lord, what does all this mean?" And he said, "Behold, I am going to make you understand what that vision refers to. Behold, the ram that you saw on the one side means the kings of Media and Persia. And the 2 horns are the first horn that came up, and the second that follows after." What does this tell you? The answer is simple. It means that the ram has already been fulfilled, because it refers to the kings of Media and Persia, which obviously no longer exist. Why? Because the Persian Empire fell in 330 BC, when Alexander the Great conquered it. Notice that Daniel asked how long these events would last, and the answer he received was that they will continue until the appointed time of the end. First, Daniel 8:14 tells us that we are living in the last days. Second, it assures us that if we trust in God, we will be able to overcome any obstacle that comes our way. Just remember what Daniel did. Whenever he received a vision from God, he first thanked God, and afterward, he shared the message with people. So do the same. Thank God for giving you the opportunity to learn about the future, and then share what you've learned with others. It could save their lives. So here's the question I want you to answer for yourself. What is the appointed time of the end? Is it in the next 30 years? Is it in the next 100 years? Or is it in the next 1,000 years? Well, whatever your answer may be, I'm sorry to tell you that you are wrong, because no one knows when the end will occur. We might think that we live in the last days, but we don't. If you were to go back to Daniel's time and ask him if he lived in the last days, he would have said yes. And the same would apply to someone living 1,000 years ago. Every generation believes that their time is the last time. So how can we know for sure that we are living in the last days? Because Jesus gave us some signs that would occur right before his return. And if we look around us today, we can clearly see that most of these signs have already happened. So based on the evidence, it seems that we are living in the last days. As we read in Daniel 12:2-4, it says, "But you, Daniel, roll up the scroll of the vision and seal it till the time of the end." So far we learn that this vision is a warning for everyone, and that no one knows when the end will happen. But now I want to talk about something that people always get wrong when studying this text. Most Christians believe that Daniel 8:14 describes a future event that will happen in the near future. And while it is true that this passage describes future events, it actually talks about something that happened a long time ago. To understand what I'm talking about, we must first take a look at the previous chapter, specifically Daniel chapter 7 verses 1-8. It says, "In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, I had a dream and saw in it a great multitude of people from the east, from the west, from the north, and from the south. They assembled in the plain, and there with them was a war and horses and chariots. Then the horses were disturbed and confused, and those who rode them panicked and fled. I looked then in the night visions, and saw a fourth beast rise on 10 feet and take dominion. It had large mouth and terrible and very strong, and it devoured much, and it wasted many. And it grew exceedingly powerful and great. Then I considered the horns and the dreadful, terrifying thing that had fallen and arose. And I looked until the horn that had been lifted up with its 4 feet on the ground. And behold, a horn was broken off from it in its place, and 4 others came up toward the 4 winds of heaven. And out of one of them came another little horn that grew exceedingly great toward the south. And the power of this horn grew toward the west and toward the beautiful land. And it went forth with great force. It devoured the multitude of Israel, and it destroyed and made an end of all heads of Israel. And it also raised itself up against the prince of the host. And in the time of trouble, the many were made to fall on the right side under his power. And it went forth to war against the king of the south and against the king of the north. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. The reason why Daniel was given this vision is so that he would be able to share it with others in the future. And the same thing goes for us today. If God gives us opportunities to learn about the future, we must take advantage of them so we can warn people before it's too late. And the 2 horns are the first horn that came up and the second that follows after. And the rough goat without horns that comes into his place by the ladder and is stronger than him, behold, it is an abomination for the glorious kingdom. But hear now the 4 horns that were on this latter horn, and that shall scatter. These are 4 great kings who shall arise out of the nation. But the one who is to come shall be exceedingly wicked, and shall take dominion with deceit. His power shall grow through his cunning, and his riches shall surpass those of them all. And he shall stir up persecution against the holy people. He shall succeed against them. And if you hear what this passage has to say, it will either make you feel very bad or incredibly excited. The first point is that Daniel was given this vision at night. This detail is mentioned at the beginning of the chapter. It says, "In that night visions came to me again from God, and behold, there was a horn coming up on the left side, and I saw 2 horns on it." For many years, scholars have debated the meaning behind Daniel's nighttime visions. Some believe they represent mystical experiences where Daniel had an out-hook-body experience and went to heaven to see things for himself. Others think that they were dreams where God showed him things that will happen in the future. But regardless of whether they were dreams or visions, the fact that these revelations came at night shows how mysterious and hidden these events are. In other words, no one knows when these things will happen. We cannot simply look at the calendar and say, "Oh, so this event should occur on this date," since so many years have passed between each event. No, God says that no one knows when these things will happen, not even the angels. So let me ask you this question. Have you been a good person your entire life? If you answered yes, then keep watching this video, because the answer to this question will determine whether or not you end up in heaven or hell. And if you're not a good person, then this video is also for you, because you need to know how you can become one. So grab your Bible and let's dive into Daniel chapter 8, from verse 14. It says, "Then I said, my Lord, what does all this mean?" Reading this passage, we must pay close attention to 3 important points. The second point we must remember is that this is not just a vision for Daniel, but a warning for everyone. And speaking of being too late, that brings us to our third and final point. Now let's get back to our passage. This passage talks about 4 empires. First, it mentions the Babylonians. Then it talks about a Medo-Persian empire represented by a ram. So let me ask you another question. So in conclusion, I want to remind you of 2 things. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe to this channel.